Yeah, here we go now, baby. Right back into the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Mega Football Friday edition of Before You Bet, airing live right now on the Covers YouTube and X channels. If you're watching on YouTube right now, make sure you smash that subscribe button right down there. A lot of great content here on the Covers YouTube channel. So a great big show planned for you guys today because we got a great big weekend in college football. A lot of great games. Brad Powers is going to be by in a matter of seconds to break down the big ones and also give us a couple more best bets. After that, Jingles will be here. We're going to be breaking down our best bets for Sunday's NFL games. I believe we have 8 total. Then we will be discussing Padres versus Dodgers, Game 5 tonight at Dodger Stadium. Winner moves on, loser goes home. Okay, so coming off a decent night of betting there last night, 3-1 good reads on the Thursday night football. The 49ers bounce back. The train looks to be back on the tracks. They cover. The game goes over, so a couple good hits there. 3-1. We should have had the sweep, really, Garrett Cole. You can't get the 5 strikeouts out there for 7 innings. You got 4 for us, but the Yankees move on there. So, the MLB playoffs off to a pretty good start here. We will see how things unfold here tonight and if the Dodgers can move on. Okay, guys, if you want to participate in the show, very easy to do so. Hit up that live chat on YouTube, on X. What do you like this weekend in college football? What do you like in the NFL? Who do you like in tonight's baseball game? Let us know. Let us know why. We will read a few off throughout the course of the show. Okay. It doesn't have time. Let us get right into the action. Let's go down to our man in sunny Las Vegas, Brad Powers, discussing the action here in college this weekend. Brad, how are we making out?
Doing well. Thanks for having me as always.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Brad, bookending the week here for us as always. So let's get right into it here, Brad. We got a lot of games to discuss, a couple of best bets as well, and something fun for the end. So if you missed Brad's appearance on Monday for his best bets, he gave out Memphis -7, Utah -5.5, both numbers holding steady here as of today. So 3 games tonight. One of them is that Utah game. So we know you like that. We know you like Utah 5.5. 2 other games. We have Maryland favored by 11 against Northwestern. Utah State, a big 19-point favorite versus UNLV. Any thoughts on the games tonight here in college football?
Yeah, just a couple leans in addition to Utah. Lean with both underdogs tonight, Northwestern +11. I think their final was a little bit misleading last week against Indiana. Indiana's a really good team. They were losing by 3 late in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing by 17. So people that just scoreboard watch, obviously think, Northwestern, same old Northwestern. I don't think that's the case. So, and I think they have the coaching edge here. And typically, historically, where I'm talking the last 25, 30 years, Northwestern has been one of the best teams in college football during that time period as a double-digit underdog. The other game, UNLV in their largest away favorite role in school history. Off the to the wire overtime loss against Syracuse. They got a big game against Boise coming up here shortly. I'll take Utah State +19.
Okay, let's get into the big one here. Ohio State versus Oregon. One of your best bets. So Brad's pick for this game will fall into his best bet category. Ohio State favored by 3. Both teams undefeated this season. A lot of lopsided wins for each of these teams. First time all season, Ohio State has been a favorite inside of 17 points. Have obviously been a big favorite in all of their games. As for Oregon, this is the first time they've been home underdog since 2018. Your best bet for the game. What are we looking at?
Ohio State -3. Surprised the line got down this far. I didn't anticipate this to be a best bet this week, but all the money coming in on the Oregon. I don't see why, because, what's the data point you point towards Oregon that gives you much confidence here? Neither team's really played anybody. Ohio State's certainly been more dominant than Oregon, and just trustworthy factor. I think the best unit on the field, offense, defense, is Ohio State's defense. Plus, then you look at Ohio State's offense, best 1-2 punch in America at running back. We knew that coming into the season, and they've lived up to it, both in the top 10 in EPA per rush. And then you look at their wideouts, the best 1-2 punch wide receiver in the country. We knew Jeremiah Smith, the freshman, was going to be great. We didn't think he'd be a first-team All-American as a true freshman, though. Chip Kelly going back to Oregon will have a chip on his shoulder, pun intended. Coaching edge, defensive edge, offensive edge, laying 3. I know Autzon's a tough place to play, but Buckeyes, the best team in the country, and they prove it on Saturday night.
Okay, looking forward to that one. So earlier in the day, we have Texas taking on Oklahoma. Texas, the Longhorns are just killing everybody so far this season. They're favored by 14 in this one, a total of 49. Texas has won all of their games by at least 19 points here. Do you think they keep rolling in this one?
I do. I lean Texas here. It's not a best bet, but certainly a lean. And they haven't played anybody really yet. Oh, on the road against Michigan. Well, I don't think Michigan's very good. But I'm here to tell you, I don't think Oklahoma's very good either. Oklahoma's 4-1 on the season. The Sooners have been outgained on the season. They have a negative 0.6 yards per play margin on the season. So it's a fraudulent 4-1 team that's dealing with as bad of a cluster injury situation in any position in the entire country. Their top 5 wide receivers are out. They're playing a true freshman quarterback. I like the quarterback. I just don't like him in this game. Add it all up, I don't see how they keep pace here. I'm laying it with Texas.
Okay, next up we have Ole Miss favored by 3.5 taking on LSU. LSU hosting here. Total on the high end of 62. Now, Mississippi, this might surprise some people. They're going under a lot. LSU, they're winning games, but not covering in a lot of games. What do you expect out of this one?
Well, I think you hit on it. I prefer the under. As far as the side, I do lean at LSU. Spot screams LSU. They're off a bye. Ole Miss playing a 7th straight week already, 3rd straight SEC opponent, 2nd straight on the road. So spot to me screams LSU. Although I do think Ole Miss is the better team. Under is my preference as far as the plays here, and you kind of hit on it. When you think Lane Kiffin, when you think Ole Miss, you think tempo, you think offense, and the reality is unders 5-1 on the season, covering by more than a touchdown per game. Their defense is carrying the team this year. And I just think there's a misperception in the marketplace when it comes to their games. I will say this. You think 60, a little on the high end. Well, these two teams did play last year combined for 115. So that might be another reason why we're dealing in the 60s. My numbers are way lower, under for me.
All right, next up we have Kansas State minus 3.5 in Colorado. Both teams coming off their bye. Both teams coming off of big wins. Total 56 in this one. What do you think of this matchup?
I don't have a play right now, but I am anticipating the Colorado money to continue to show. It's a late night window. It's isolated. You obviously, the public's going to get involved on game day. They're going to want to bet Colorado, the home dog. They'll probably be betting Colorado on the money line. I want to bet Kansas State. I'm not there yet. I'm looking to lay 3 or better and a cheap Kansas State money line. I just trusted the rush offense more than anything in the game. Now, I have some concerns. You got to be able to pressure Shedeur Sanders. If you don't get pressure, I don't know if they can be able to defend Colorado's wideouts in space. So it's not a best bet, but it's certainly a lean on Kansas State.
Okay, let's get into a couple of best bets here. Brad has 2 to add to his weekend slate. Let's start with West Virginia, a 3-point underdog. You expect them to cover the spread?
Yeah, I expect them to win the game outright in this one, but we'll take the +3 here against Iowa State. Iowa State team that statistically look pretty dominant. The finals look pretty good for them, but they haven't played an overly tough schedule. West Virginia's played a much tougher schedule, and this is going to be a blackout. They're wearing these special like coal miner uniforms, so I think you'll see an electric atmosphere there. I just think West Virginia is the more you change a couple plays. Like Iowa State, fortunate to come from behind and beat Iowa. West Virginia had lost a really tough game against Pittsburgh where they blew a late lead, 10-point lead in the final 5 minutes. Change a couple plays, and we're certainly not dealing with West Virginia getting 3 here. So I'll take the Mountaineers.
Okay, I think this is the last game of the entire week in Hawaii, so it makes sense. Boise State, total on the high end, 59.5. You're expecting a fun one. You think it goes over?
Yeah, I mean, you think it's high at 59.5, but Boise State games have averaged 81 total points per game on average this year. They're 5-0 to the over by 17 points per game on average. Ashton Genty, the Heisman favorite. I'd like to see him play more than a half in this game. And I think he'll have to because I also lean with Hawaii. And if Hawaii is going score for score, Ashton Genty has to play more than a half, unlike he did last week. But I'm here to tell you, Boise's not, can get to 59 by themselves, in my opinion. So Hawaii's defense stats are good, but they haven't faced anywhere near the offense that they'll face on Saturday night. So I like over 59.5. It's supposed to be windy. That's why we're seeing a little bit of under money. It's always windy in Hawaii. If you ever watched any of their games for the last 30 years, there's been trash blowing around Aloha Stadium. It's always windy. I don't know why people see that forecast and get scared.
Okay, hot topic here in the live chat, Brad. People are asking, how many hats does Brad own? Do you have any idea how many hats are in your collection?
That's a good question. Probably 50-ish.
50-ish hats. Okay. Collection is growing. Okay. So I ask you a fun question every single time here on your Friday appearance. We've talked some wrestling. We've talked disappointing television series endings. Today's question, What's the best mob movie of all time? And second part, what is the most underrated mob movie of all time? We invite the people in the live chat to weigh in with their selections as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna be boring. But I think it's pretty obvious. It's The Godfather. I mean, it's the one that started the whole genre. So, and look, I rewatched them. Right after last season, I rewatched all three of them. Believe it or not, for the first
Okay.
time in like 15 years. They've aged well. The writing is
That's
superb.
what I was going to ask. Okay.
Yeah, the acting is still there. Watching all three right in a row. I watched them all in one day. It was a cloudy day, believe it or not, here in Vegas, and I like Goodfellas. If you told me Goodfellas, I hear you. I like
Yeah.
Casino, obviously, because I'm a Vegas guy, but
Yeah.
Godfather still ages very well. 50 years later.
Yeah, you can make the case for about a dozen different movies, I think, in this genre of film, which is kind of drying out, I think, right now. How
Yeah,
many more stories can you tell? I would have to go Casino for my favorite mob
yeah.
movie of all time. I like the history of Las Vegas type of stuff. The acting is fantastic. Sharon Stone's character is a little annoying, obviously. Good writing. Probably about 20 minutes too long, like most Scorsese movies. But yeah, I would have to say Casino for my favorite. A couple other guys, and give me The Departed. Tom Tremblay was something a
Yeah,
little bit
very good.
more fresh. Yeah, that's a great movie. But what would you say is the most underrated mob movie?
So I give you one. It's a new one, and I
Okay.
usually crap on anything new in pop culture, but it came out a couple years ago. Underrated. Nobody watched it because nobody likes anything that's good anymore, as far as popular. The Outfit. Highly
Okay.
recommend it. It's really good. Mob movie. Basically set in one store. So it's a very old feel vibe. Very good writing. Very good acting. Just an old school, really good mob movie.
Who's in it? Any big names?
And no big names.
Okay, I haven't seen it. I'll have to put that on the
Highly
list.
recommend it. It's good. That flew a little bit under the radar, but I see it's picking up some steam, I think, as more people watch it.
Yeah, I
My
like
cousin Vinny's great. Love
My
it.
Cousin Benny's great. I don't
Courtroom
know
scene's amazing.
if it's underrated, but I love the movie Donnie Brasco. It's
Yeah.
probably in my top 20. It's like Johnny Depp at his peak. Bronx Tale is a good one too. Yeah,
You can't go wrong with any. I mean, if you told me any of these 20, I'd just be, yep.
it's weird they never nailed a John Gotti movie though. I think they made a few of them, and I think
Yeah, they
they've all
never
had
did. That's
shitty
crazy.
reviews. I think so. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll try to recreate it here in the future, but we'll leave it at that. Brad, I'll think of something silly to ask you on next Friday's show. But
I enjoy them. I love these questions. They make me think.
oh, it's fun just to kind of kick around stuff like this. Every guy seems to have opinions on, TV shows, movies, old wrestling stuff. So yeah, we'll keep kicking these around as the season goes on for sure. We will leave it at that though. We wish you best of luck with your picks over the weekend, and we do look forward to chatting with you on Monday's show.
Take care. Enjoy that Canadian Thanksgiving on Sunday.
Yes, sir. Indeed. Yeah, Canadian Thanksgiving. Most of our viewers, I'm assuming, are from the USA. You guys have your Thanksgiving in late November. Our Thanksgiving is technically on Monday. Actually, I'm going to be working Monday, but a lot of people in Canada, they'll do their Thanksgiving on the Sunday or maybe the Saturday. So it is Canadian Thanksgiving this weekend. So happy Canadian Thanksgiving to any fellow Canadians who are watching the program. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? For me, turkey, pumpkin pie. I am a simple guy. Okay, let's get into the NFL and some Major League Baseball. Bring in our guy, Jingles. Allow him a chance to weigh in here. Is Jingles with us? There he is.
Hey.
Jingles, what's your favorite mob movie of all time?
Oh, my mind went straight to Donnie Brasco. My mind went straight to Scarface. Not a huge Godfather fan. It's
Yeah,
like I never
it's a
watched the
little-
first one in its entirety of like it first came out. It's like, okay, here's 9 hours of Godfather movies, 1 to 3, go watch them, and you're like, not getting into it. But Boondock Saints, 10P Kids, that's a great one. Willem Dafoe in that is an absolute lunatic of a villain. And yeah, that one's right up there in the wheelhouse of when I was watching new movies back in that would have been early 2000s.
Yeah, I got to give Godfather another chance. It's a little bit before my time, obviously, and I think I probably first watched it as a teenager, and maybe I didn't quite have the appreciation for film that I do now. But yeah, we'll give that another chance. Okay, enough movie talk. we have an avalanche of NFL picks. So let's get going and let's get started off in jolly old England, where we each have a pick on a Bears running back for this game. I'm going to get us started. DeAndre Swift. I like him to go over his receiving yard total. He is really excelling here in the pass game. Now, he got off to a rough start to the season, but check him out the past couple of weeks here. Totals of 47, 72, 22, and 24 receiving yards in his last 4 games. Good matchup for him to keep this going. Jacksonville has allowed the second most receiving yards to running backs this season, an average of 57 per game, and he is dominating snaps in Chicago's backfield. He's 7th among running backs in the NFL so far this season. He's averaging close to 20 more snaps per game to the next closest Bears running back. So Swift, he might do this on one catch. He has done this on one catch in his last 2 games. So hopefully he can have a good day through the air in jolly old England. Jingles, who are you targeting in this game?
I'm tripling up on Roschon Johnson touchdowns. The number does not go down. So you mentioned that Swift's workload is increasing. That's fine. I think Swift being a better runner and a better pass catcher these days is helping him cash these because he is the goal line guy. Plus 245 cash in week 3, plus 215. In week 5, plus 215 in week 4. I mean, matchup's great. 71% of trips in the red zone are scoring against them. Injuries massive to the linebacking crew. But this is just really a price on here's a guy who is getting basically, at least 3. So over his last 2 games, he's got 3 carries inside the 5. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like top 4 in all the league over the last 2 weeks. He's getting it. He's converted all 3, which is why he continues to have the role. And getting guys who have red zone looks and red zone rolls like real tight and consistently at plus 200 is always a buy point. Usually you're like plus 160. So I got this price somewhere around that plus 160. So anything plus 180 is gold. And we're going back to back to back. And the Chicago offense is moving, which also helps Roschon here.
Let's go to Lambeau Fields, where I'm going to take the Packers to cover the spread here. -5, my favorite spread bet of the week here on Sunday. So advantages all over the place and some inconsistencies for the Cardinals. So this is a matchup between a Packers team that is 5th in yards per pass attempt. That includes 2 starts from Malik Willis, taking on a Arizona defense that's 29th in yards per pass attempt allowed. Cardinals defense is having a lot of trouble getting off the field. They are 30th in opponent third down conversion percentage. Conveniently, Green Bay is also great at running the football. So I think they're going to find offense wherever they damn well please in this game. They're on a nice 7-2 against the spread run at home. And check out this trend here for Kyler Murray, who I call the ultimate tease. Kyler Murray hasn't won consecutive starts since October of the 2021 season. He's lost 10 straight games following a win. He is the ultimate tease. We saw this on display earlier this season. Week 2, monster win. They score 41 points against the Rams. They come out the next week and they score 13 points on the home field against the Lions and lose that one. So, yeah, I like the Packers to cover -5. Let's go to another prop from Jingles. Bucky Irving.
Bucky.
What do you like? Let's go, Bucky. Let's go.
I know Bucky's in a big spot here. So Rachaad White is banged up at practice. You can't get any of his rushing props. So where do you go in a spot where there's high upside? And even if White was in, you would still want Irving. You go to the touchdowns, plus 175. We're seeing as low as plus 115, which is probably where it should be if White is out. He's the much better of the runners, especially late, 5.8 yards per carry. And White still trampling to like a 3.3 carry since he came into the league. 8 carries, last 2 games, including 4 inside the 5 in the red zone. This is a guy who's got 100% of the RB carries inside the red zone over the last 2 weeks. And you're getting plus 175 in a game where they're facing the Saints. We just saw the Saints. They're banged up on both sides of the ball. This could be a game script for Tampa to run the ball a lot, depending on what Spencer Rattler does with the offense. But Kareem Hunt just couldn't not gain yards versus his defense. They couldn't get off the field. 27 carries or something in that game, 100 yards and a touchdown. It's going to be a big Bucky game, who is still 100-1 for Rookie of the Year. I know he's not going to win. It's probably going to go to one of the quarterbacks, but he shouldn't be 100-1. He should certainly be ahead of guys like Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Brooks, and Keon Coleman. He could be, at the end of the year, the number 1 rookie running back.
JPC Fourth in the live chat says he can't stay off the Xbox for back-to-back weeks. Kyler Murray, of course. Yeah, Kyler Murray, I like Murray. I'm a fan of his, but he's so inconsistent. He'll have these games where you're like, oh my God, he is electric. Can Kyler Murray be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL? What a game. He absolutely stuffed the stat sheet. Then the next week they score 13 points and lose the game. So,
right. The Washington game was perfect. You're like, oh, here comes the biggest score, like 42-14. How did you not put up points against Washington in that spot in week 4? But yeah, I get it. 0-10 is crazy. That's a crazy stat. 0-10 following a win.
Yeah, very inconsistent. Now, that's not against the spread, of course, but still, that's not good. Very, very inconsistent. Okay. Sexiest game of the week. We're going over for it. It's Commanders, Ravens, total of 51.5. Sometimes, guys, just don't overthink things. Allow me to explain. Baltimore is getting destroyed through the air. Washington is second in yards per pass attempt. Washington cannot stop the run. Baltimore is first in yards per rush attempt. These offenses, first and third on third down, each in the bottom third of the league in third down defense. Both defenses also stink in the red zone. They're a combined 8-2 to the over. They are first and second in scoring so far this season. Absolute shootout. In Baltimore, don't overthink it. It can be the over at 51.5. All that, the just jumping rate. I think the total should be around 55 or so. So, yeah, I love the over in that one. If it's a trap, I'm willing to fall right into it. All those stats.
Your over last night had a hell of a second half. I'll give you that. It was because I hit it was 42.5 at halftime.
It was. The Seattle couldn't do anything in the first half. Both teams stunk in the red zone. But then I think they scored 2 touchdowns in the first 4 minutes of the third quarter. There was a kickoff return, of course, 21. And then the 49ers had a nice drive there. So, yeah, that felt good to hit the over. Finally, a good night on Thursday Night Football for me. Okay, one big spotlight game here in the late window on Sunday has the Lions in Dallas taking on the Cowboys, and you have a prop for Dak Prescott.
Yeah, big Dak fan this weekend. 300 passing yards, plus 145. I think his total is about 273.5, up to 281. It's going up. I mean, passing 300-yard passers aren't really happening every week, but this is a spot indoors versus another indoor team in Detroit. There's a lot to like in this, and I still don't think that props are priced properly in terms of increased pass efficiency and volume indoors. Prescott, about a yard per attempt more indoors than outdoors. Detroit's 3 indoor games, their defense, Geno Smith put up 395 yards. Matt Stafford put up 317 yards. That's 50 more than he's had in any game this year. And Baker Mayfield didn't put up a lot of yards, but he had 9.8 yards per attempt, which is 1 full yard per attempt higher than Brock Purdy's leading 8.8. Garbage time, very possible in this spot. I mean, Detroit rolls in as a 3-point favorite. We could just see same thing, what we saw, very similar to what we saw yesterday, where maybe Detroit coming off the bye gets up big, and then it's just pass heavy for the dog in that spot. So I love Dak, big Dak fan. Quote me on that one. 300 yards. Not even happy at the 281. Happy at the 300. Let's go big.
10P Kids in the live chat says Cowboys game going to be wild. 30+ by both teams. Now, that's what I thought was going to be the case last season when they played, because Dallas had that trend at home where they were just 30-point game after 30-point game. And, of course, we know the Lions, they profile as an over team. Great offense, pretty bad defense. And the final score was 20-19. And I've been on the wrong end of trying to pick these overs in Lions games so far this season opener against the Rams. That went under. That game down in Arizona, that went under. The Lions only scored 20 points in that game. So, I think I might stay away from that game and just watch it and root for Jingles. I might actually have to tail his Prescott prop there. Okay, 2 more to go here. Let's go with my favorite trend of the weekend. That's what this bet is built around. I'm going to take the first half under in Texans Patriots. Number is sitting there at 19.5. So check out this trend. Houston has gone under the first half total in 10 of 11 road games since the start of last season. Check out what the Patriots offense is doing here in the first half. And now I know they have a new quarterback stepping in, but they're averaging 4.3 first half points over their last 3 games. So that new quarterback, Drake May, set to make his debut. I think this is an awful spot for him to make his debut. The Patriots offensive line is by far allowing the most pressure in the NFL. Now he's taking on a Texans defense top 10 in both pressure percentage and sacks, 4th in yards per pass attempt allowed. Meanwhile, for the Texans, pretty big deal here. Nico Collins is going to be out for at least 4 weeks, leads the NFL in receiving yards. So who knows? Maybe New England's defense can get off to a decent start on their home field here on Sunday. So we'll take under 19.5 in the first half in that one. Now let's go back down to Dallas, where you have a fun tight end parlay for this game. Break it down for us.
Yeah, your Houston game, like that offense just fell apart when Nico Collins was out of the game. And that was pretty much the only reason why Buffalo came back, because they stalled out big time. So losing Nico Collins is a massive, massive blow to Houston, because I think he was the best offensive player in football. So love that one. Producer Mick also loves fading his own team. Maybe be profitable if he does. Let's go. Going from Dak to my tight end parlay here. All aboard the Mayflower. There you go. Ooh, you Darvish. No, we're not there yet. We are going double tight ends. Come on. Oh, he blew you out of the water. I'm sorry.
Stoner. Starting with the weed a little early on a Friday. Broke out the old 6-foot bong.
Oh, he mailed it in Fridays. Let's go. All right. So this kind of went like this way. Handicapping it, like Sam Laporte has been really quiet. Like weirdly quiet compared to what he had last year, like 85 catches, 900 yards. The action wasn't there. The volume's there, but like it should be coming out of the bye. Hopefully that fixed. And then you're like, well, okay. Jake Ferguson is now the number 2, and he's looked very good in back-to-back weeks. You saw his snap share jump up. His routes came up. There's a lot to like in both of these guys. So you said, you know what? Why don't I just try to throw them together? Let's go 50 and 50 on both for plus 350. I'd probably play this to plus 300, but this is a spot where Laporta can do this in 4 catches. Ferguson can do this in 4 catches. Already like the Dak over. It's indoors. There's a spot where Dallas is not like had to face any, like if you just went into the box score and you're like, okay, how is Dallas defending tight ends? Well, they haven't really had to face too many tight ends. They faced Pat Freiermuth, who is a nobody now. Theo Johnson the week before. Andrews and Isaiah Likely had just combined 2 targets in week 3. The Saints didn't target their tight end at all. And Njoku had 4 catches for 44 yards in the opener before I believe he got hurt sometime late in that game or was banged up. And Fergie's gone 95, 49, and 70 over his last 3 games. And there's 10 targets possible for him. Brandon Cooks has moved to the IR. Indoor passing efficiency is up. Laporta is sitting at 41.5 for a total, and Fergie at 48.5. I like both of those overs, but put him at 50. Big plus money there.
Okay, quick thoughts on the Thursday night football game last night before we move on to the Padres-Dodgers here tonight. So, yeah, it looks like the 49ers, they always kind of have these dips. If you go back and look at the past couple seasons, they will have a dip every season. Sometimes it looks like maybe this season, maybe they got it out of the way a bit early. You know, who knows if McCaffrey will come back, but that team is getting healthier, and they beat the living shit out of the Seahawks last night.
And the box score is even worse. Like they probably could have beat them more, right? Like the return for touchdown, like it could have been like 38-10.
Yeah, and my thought about the Seahawks, and this was like I talked about them going into that game. I picked against them. I talked about them getting exposed, and a big theme last season was people liking to point out which teams are frauds and who are the biggest frauds last season. It was my Miami Dolphins and the Dallas Cowboys. Everyone turned out to be right, but I think the Seahawks are the first team this season to be identified as a fraud or fraud checked. If you look at the first 3 games, it was Bo Nix, Jacoby Brissett, and Skylar Thompson. Everyone's like, oh, Mike McDonald, maybe, a 3-0 start. And they get the shit kicked out of them by the Lions
the pee-pee whack in Detroit.
Yeah, and then a watered-down version of the Giants, guys I've never even heard of, just going up and down the field on them. Then we saw what happened there last night. So the Seahawks might be like a really bad team here. Potentially, Geno Smith was airmailing the ball. He was way off on a bunch of those throws. So I think that is absolutely a team that will be looking
the tackling.
To start over.
Like you think, like the tackling was awful. That touchdown was the long touchdown was to Samuel or Ayuk, where the safety was so late, and then he just dove on the far side of the receiver when the ball was underthrown, and he just walked in. It just looked like a sloppy defensive game where San Francisco, like those are dream games for offenses, especially a Kyle Shanahan offense, where anything you draw up is gonna gain yards, right? Like you saw Debo running, you saw Juszczyk get involved, you saw Kittle not be involved and then be very involved later in the game. Hat tip to J-Lo, who got the over 5.5 at plus money yesterday. But I think it's more like last night I felt so dumb, like not taking San Francisco because it was the perfect storm. A San Francisco team that had been beating the snot out of opponents, but had just been giving up 1 or 2 plays to lose a game or to lose the spread. And then the Seattle on the other side, you're like, okay. And I think it was just the 3.5, not a flat 3 that kind of scared me. But so far in the season, that's one that I'm like, man, I really wish I should have hit San Francisco.
Yep, light work for the 49ers. We'll see if they can get a little bit more consistent play in the red zone. Now, this shapes up. They have extended rest. Their next game, do you know who they're playing next?
No, I don't.
I will tell you, they are in Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, who are coming off of a bye here. So both of those teams going in with extra rest. That's going to be a big-time game. It's not in prime time, though. It's a late afternoon game next Sunday. So that shapes up to be the game of the week. We do look forward to that one. Okay, big game tonight. Dodger Stadium, Yu Darvish versus Yamamoto. Dodgers favored by money line around minus 140. Total of 8 runs in this one. I don't have any. I guess I do. I don't have a pick for who I think is going to win the game. But what I will say is the Dodgers showed some balls in game 4. It was all on their offense because it was a bullpen game. They showed up. They scored 8 runs. But they're kind of inconsistent offensively. So I won't be surprised if they lose. I won't be surprised by any result tonight. Maybe if one team wins 15-0 or something, sure. But I don't know. I would maybe lean Dodgers. Maybe momentum's so funny in baseball, even hockey. You're like, oh, now this team's got all the momentum because they won one game. Nope, switch. I don't know, lean Dodgers. What do you result of the game? Then I'll give out my pick. What do you think of the matchup here, Jingles?
I mean, early scoring has been the name of the game so far in the series. I saw it this morning. I didn't see anything I liked. There were no outs markets available for any of the pitchers.
No.
Yamamoto got beat up pretty good in his last turn. Darvish was probably the better of the two, and that's why you're kind of seeing when you get to your play, that's why that number's so high, because they are expecting him to go a little deep. But on that side, when I saw that, I'm like, you don't see 2.5 earned runs very often in these playoffs because guys are going 12 outs and they're done. Like it's all hands on deck in an elimination game in a best of 5 in game 5. Even if Darvish is good, that pitch count could get up. There's so many ways that he could just go 12 outs. But at the end of the day, I think I have to continually go on the idea of more runs early. And as I'm trying to bring up the news on old Freddie Freeman, I got to know if he's in. Like him not playing last game, you're like, oh, he's out. You're like, what do you mean he's out? Like he threw the ball off Machado's back, and that was the last you saw of him. And that's an important one. But I think if I'm going to bet it, and I really got to look into it because I'm looking at a lot of things today. First 3 total over. If I can get like a 2, a flat 2 or 2.5. Yeah. Somewhere more. I'm starting to like the 3 a little more because obviously the front of these lineups are loaded as opposed to the 5. I don't know, the inconsistency of the starting pitching in the series has been consistently inconsistent. Freeman expected to play in game 5.
Beauty.
So okay, that helps the first 3.
Yeah. He'd have to be really injured, I would think, not to suit up for this one. Okay, my best bet for this game, sticking with the pitcher prop, going to target you, Darvish, going to go under 2.5 earned runs for him, -125. And this is mainly built on a great recent and total history against the Dodgers. So he's been fantastic against the Dodgers this season. A 1.59 ERA in 4 starts, including Game 2 of the series, where he threw 7 innings, allowed 1 earned run off just 3 hits. Check out the bigger sample size here. Dodgers hitters have combined for a 594 OPS against him and 266 at-bats. That is a big sample size. Betts and Ohtani, in particular, have been bad against him, each with a batting average lower than 200. And he's been pretty good in the playoffs here lately, going back a couple seasons. 2 earned runs or less allowed in 5 of his last 6 playoff starts. Now, ironically, outside of a few World Series starts when he was on the Dodgers against the Astros, where he got beat up, I think he allowed 4 earned runs in 2 starts against the Astros in that World Series. He's been pretty solid here in the postseason. So we do think he will rise to the occasion. Maybe he's only going to be out there for 4 innings. Maybe he allows two earned runs in the first 4 innings and they yank him because, like Jingle said, all hands on deck. Probably going to see Jack Flaherty at some point here for the Dodgers tonight, I would imagine. But yeah, looking forward to that one. I like these baseball games that have this big feel to them. And,
yesterday's Cleveland game was awesome. I like that feeling of like, it was such a good feeling for sports yesterday because you got that game going on and then you're like, okay, then the hockey slate started and then the 8:20 football game started. It's like everything was going in line. But yeah, I'm excited for this game. I was just looking, both teams to score 3 runs plus 110. That might be added to the card.
Ooh, baby, yeah. No, it's yeah. Bad outcome, but a ton of energy in the ballpark. John Metler, our resident Detroit Tigers fan. John Metler is going to be on the show with me Monday, breaking down Monday Night Football and some Major League Baseball, of course.
Squeeze, like that was so awesome. Like I love tight plays in baseball where it's bang bang and it's like,
yeah,
and there's no review because he beat it. So it's, I don't know, it's just something about that baseball like that gets me all pumped up. But Game 5, let's go, and then we got another one on Saturday.
What do you want to see as your world, before we recap these picks, what do you want to see as your World Series matchup? Take any betting results.
As a bettor?
No. As a baseball viewer, as a fan of the sport, you say yours, then I will say mine. What do you want to see?
Oh, man. You honestly can't go wrong with Padres or Dodgers, right? Like, if I'm an executive, New York would probably be a cool series.
Subway Series.
Yeah, but like you're not going to see, like, nobody wants Cleveland or Detroit in finals. That's like, so it's got to be New York.
Like Tigers would be
New York versus Yankees versus Mets. Okay, there's the first one. Yankees, Dodgers, Yankees, Padres, all winners. But if you throw in Detroit or Cleveland into that mix, you're just like, oh man, just an absolute blender.
Yeah, Major League Baseball, they're rooting for the Yankees to get through. I want something with that big feel. So I want Dodgers, Yankees would be my first pick. You know, you have Ohtani, even though Judge isn't hitting, right? But you have a lot of big stars, you know, the pitcher, you know, Garrett Cole, Mookie Betts. I think that'd be fantastic. Or a Subway Series would be very cool. Again, the story of the Mets, the team of destiny here, big hits all over the place. Yeah, Skubal versus Ohtani. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool too. Yeah, we'll see how Skubal does here on
10 PK Kid says, should I hedge my Cleveland series bet? I think you can just bet. It's pretty easy. I think you can just bet on Tariq Skubal on Saturday, like under 1.5 earned runs or under hits or over outs. And then you can try to middle it that way.
Yeah, the dude is automatic right now. Okay, let's recap our picks here for the NFL, and we will say goodbye to you guys. My picks for tonight, DeAndre Swift, or for Sunday, I should say, in London, over 18.5 receiving yards. Like the Packers to cover -5. Commanders, Ravens, over 51.5. Texans, Patriots, first half, under 19.5. And you, Darvish, under 2.5 earned runs. Jingles, recap, please.
Bucky. TD plus 175. That's only going to shorten up if Rashad White doesn't practice today. I haven't checked the report. Should be coming out soon. Roshan Johnson. I'll Roshan Johnson it for you. Plus 225. That number is not coming down, although he has 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks and is absolutely taking the majority of the red zone carries. Big Dak Day, plus 300 yards, plus 145, I should say. That's going to be a shootout in the late slate. I usually don't like the 4 o'clock games as much as the 1 o'clock games, but I'm really excited about that Dallas-Detroit game. And then my tight end parlay, Laporta, Fergie, 50 each, plus 350. Number 2 options in a game that could see a lot of passing yards.
Tight end parlay. Love that. Okay, guys, that does it for the Friday edition of the show, but we're going to be right back with you on Monday to cover the Major League Baseball, the Monday Night Football. Of course, Brad Powers will be by. So until then, thank you to all you guys for tuning in. Thank you to my guests for today. Thank you to producer Mick for producing. Can get back to that 6-foot water bong there in the corner of his apartment. Thank you to BetMGM for sponsoring the show. Best of luck with all your bets tonight and over the weekend. We will see you guys again on Monday. Woo!